We recently found this Porsche 996 in the local classifieds, went over to take a look at it, and thought about maybe picking it up as a project car. However, before we did that, we wanted to make sure that it was sound, both on the outside and underneath mechanically, so that we don't run into a big money pit. So with any Porsche 996, 997, especially the early ones, you want to make sure that you get a pre-purchase inspection done. It's going to be taken to a Porsche specialist who's going to look at the car inside and out for things that maybe you and I wouldn't find on our own. With the Porsche 996s, everybody's heard of the infamous IMS failures, and the last thing we want to deal with is one of those. So we took it over to IMA Motorwork this morning, and this is how it went down. The first thing the guys at IMA Motorwork did was take the car around the block to get a good feel for it. Then into the shop and up on the lift, but not before attaching the car to a computer to check out the diagnostics, look for any codes.
So what we're doing is we're scanning the full car, scanning for all the modules that are available through the data link. Everyone that's in bold print is available. Anything that's opaque is not available, which means it's not installed in the car. Anything with a hashtag next to it means that there's a fault in that system, and that gives you the warning that you need to go in there and see what the actual fault is. So now it's done scanning. Click on the DME, which is the engine control module. Go into fault memory. And it's saying that it has an issue with the oxygen sensor heater circuit behind the cat on bank 1, which means it's an after cat O2 for bank 1, which would be the driver's side bank. So just make note of that on the ticket.
The owner told me about the airbag light, and we found a fault for that as well. Luckily, it looks like it's just a simple seatbelt receptacle.
An over rev 200 RPM over the electronic rev limiter is what the.
And that's the entire life?
That's the entire life of the car since day. Yeah. So, but as long as we don't have anything beyond range 2, it's pretty safe to say that the engine's fine. If you get into range 3, 4, 5, or 6,
yeah,
that's a car you want to shy away from.
With the computer scan done, it was time for a quick walk around the car, starting up at the front. With the front hood open, we found that the struts that keep it propped up were completely shot.
Yeah, come winter time, that thing will try and eat you. The drains in here, if they get clogged up, water will intrude into the car. And the immobilizer module is right underneath the driver's seat, which is the lowest point in the cabin.
Yeah.
Water gets in the car, the module gets wet, the car doesn't want to run. Just take this apart, clean all the debris out, take a vacuum, just suck it out. Pour a little water in there, just make sure that it drains out on the floor. We'll go ahead and do the battery test one.
The battery checked out okay. On to the next.
We're going to test the brake fluid for its acidity and moisture content. Right now it's only at 1%, so we're safe. Doesn't have to be flushed yet. If it gets up into the 3 to 4% is where we like to do a brake flush. Generally we like to do it at least once a year. If it's a track used car, then you'd want to do it at least every 6 months.
Ours would definitely be every 6 months.
To save from taking the air filter off and apart to check the condition of the air filter, just use a borescope. Turn the light on. Down the hole we go. There's the air filter, nice and clean.
Cool.
Check the condition of the belt. You can see it from up top pretty well. You can see the back side and the front side. It's not cracked or weather checked. Everything seems to be where it belongs. I don't smell anything, don't see anything.
Next, the car is raised up even more to access the wheels and finally get underneath.
You can see the brake pads. Got probably a good 6-7 millimeters of brakes, which is good. Feels good. The bump stops are dry rotting and falling apart. So, and we would just make note of it. Basically what they do is if you hit a really big bump, it takes a little bit of the shock load off of the car.
Sounds like a good excuse for some adjustable dampers if you
Walk
ask
around
me.
the front of the car, you look in the air inlets for the radiators and the AC condensers are full of debris. That can cause the car to overheat. Come winter time, that stuff gets wet and then it gets frozen and thaws and freezes and thaws. The expansion and contraction of that debris can actually break the radiators. And it's the same on this side, full of debris.
This is something I never would have found unless it was pointed out.
That's something that you can do at home with a shop vac. Just get in there and vacuum all that stuff out. Usually you want to do that a couple of times a year. It's a factory piece. It's a nice little skid pan. It helps save you. Sometimes it works. It's not made out of much, but sometimes it's all it takes to keep you from getting in trouble. CV axles, check the boots. Make sure they don't have any bad play in them. Axles look good. This sway bar in link is bad. You can feel it clicking when you do this. It's not audible, but you can feel it in your hand. The side's okay.
Brakes, tires, bushings, those aren't of major concern to me. I was really dying for the inspection of the engine.
Is where the engine and the transmission come together. Inside of here is where the rear main seal and the IMS cover are. You can see there's some moisture there. It's engine oil. So it's either the rear main seal or the intermediate shaft bearing cover is leaking.
Yep.
Looking over the transmission, make sure the shifters are in their housings, and this one is not. See this little clip right here? It's not down in its holder. You hit a bump real hard, this guy will hop out. You got no shifter. Now it's locked in. This one's in.
Now that the engine and drivetrain were inspected, it's back to the inside of the car to push a bunch of buttons.
Basically, I'm just letting my inner kid run loose. I'm going to push every button in here and make sure everything works. You know, the map lights, make sure those switches work. I'm going to open the top.
There's also a button near the left footrest to raise and lower the rear spoiler.
Check the vanity lights. This one's broken. This is really normal. Every 99602 and earlier, both sides. The light works, but the cover won't stay open. You can get the replacement parts, they're not too expensive.
After all was said and done, this particular 911 had a repair bill of nearly $5,000. If you're handy, you might be able to do all these repairs for around $3,000. Unfortunately, our budget for the project car was $15,000, and the seller wouldn't budge, so we had to keep looking. And this goes to show you, be it an M3 or a 911, it's rare to pick up a car $5,000 under market price that doesn't need $5,000 worth of work. To some, putting that $5,000 worth in yourself and knowing it was done right isn't such a bad idea. But that's a call that comes from within.